Welcome to the latest series of the FODcast, where we bring you the latest insights into the future of digital commerce. In Season 6, we continue to interview some of the most respected professionals in the industry as we broaden the topics to cover what it takes to build a business within e-commerce, navigating through business change, as well as the future of technology within digital commerce. As we continue our journey to have one of the best podcasts within commerce, we ask you to like and share within your network if you enjoy our content. Hello, and welcome back to the FODcast. Today, I'm pleased to welcome Sam Panzer, Director of Industry Strategy for Talon.One, and arguably one of the most educated individuals within loyalty and promotions right now. Welcome, Sam. Great to have you on the show.
Thanks a lot, James. Pumped to be here. Listened to a lot of really good conversations you've had with previous guests, so this will be fun.
Thank you. So it's probably no surprise to find out that today we'll be focusing on loyalty and promotions, which is perfectly timed as I don't think there's a hotter topic within digital commerce right now. It's also something I find incredibly interesting, as I felt for a long time there's so much that can be done in this space. Anyway, you did have a career in retail before Talon.One, Sam. So do you want to start by giving a quick overview of your background?
Yeah. I started my career as a marketer. I wasn't really any good at it, but I spent a lot of time adjusting HTML and CSS and emails to boost like open rates or click-through rates by 1% or whatever. Then worked with a tech business in the US, helping hotel operators and retailers on digital messaging, so conversational commerce and concierge messaging, usually embedded in a hotel loyalty app. And then, found Talon.One about 6 years ago and have found this incentives domain of promotions and loyalty is a much bigger opportunity than me fixing email subject lines to get a 1% bump in click-through or whatever. So really, really meaningful domain that I've been pumped to be working deeply in for about 6 years now.
Nice, 6 years. Time flies, eh?
Sure does. Yeah. But like you said, it's a fascinating, relevant space, and get to do a lot of our research and writing for the business too of what's going on in the domain. So having a lot of fun.
Nice. And like I said a few moments ago, for me, it's a really interesting space. For a long time, I felt there's a lot that can be done when it comes to loyalty and promotions. We've seen the rise in demand for customers to shop directly with brands, and I know they can do so much more with the data that they have started to collect over the last few years. So I think it probably leads quite nicely into the first topic for today, which is going to be focused on the rise of loyalty and promotions. So where should we start?
Yeah, let's start with promotions. Maybe I think loyalty and promotions are kind of converging paths, but they do start from different places. So promotions in particular, I mean, obviously brands have been selling stuff at a discount online for as long as we've been selling stuff online. But I think, historically brands are managing those promotions in a couple different places. So the most important one is the commerce platform, which usually manages your cart and your item promotions. Then you have your ERP system or maybe the PIM for promotional pricing and price reduction. So a lot of clearance pricing in the ERP. Point of sale does everything in store and for pricing and offers. Loyalty platform in there for points and tiers and member offers. CRM and marketing automation for lifecycle and personalized offers. But really all this is the same thing. It's like the value exchange that we offer to our customers to get them to change behavior. But historically, it's kind of a piecemeal approach of 5 different platforms, each doing 20 things at a high level, and promotions are one of those, but maybe not the most advanced capability of that given piece of technology.
Yeah. So have you seen the technology in that space evolve somewhat over the time you've been in the industry? I mean, I know so with Talon.One, that is specifically what your technology does, and it does a really good job at that, hence how the business has grown over that period of time. But have you seen other competitors also come along for the journey as well?
Yeah, I think promotions as a standalone thing is still pretty new. Like we've been in business for 9 or 10 years, and we were the first to do that. One other kind of direct competitor in that specific nook, but most of it is loyalty platforms bolting on a promotions module onto their core loyalty thing. In terms of, has the space improved or gotten better? I think commerce platforms have definitely put in a lot of work to make their promotions better. If you look at like the product roadmaps of Shopify and commerce tools this year, those are definitely some big improvements there. But I think that historically, yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say things have gotten much better. Like if you look at like we've seen a lot of businesses move off of Oracle ATG, for example, in like 2021 or 2022. ATG had pretty good promotions, right? Like you kind of do everything on the item or the cart level, good on bundles. And then a lot of businesses moved off Oracle ATG because they're sunsetting it and moved to a more modern platform that unlocks tons of possibilities, but maybe didn't have every single promotion use case thought through, and they have to either customize or find another way to achieve like really sophisticated bundles. But yeah, I mean, if you go back in time and look at an e-commerce website from 8 years ago, promotions are probably structured the exact same way. So very little improvement in the promotions domain, sadly, and brands are still wasting heaps of money on crappy discounts.
Yeah, well, that's the problem, isn't it? Because if you're a brand that promotes a lot of the products, I mean, ultimately, all it's doing is eating into your bottom line. And yes, there's the argument that you're going to get rid of some stock that maybe you might not have got rid of before at the end of season sale or whatever it might be. But there's a lot of brands that just do blanket discounts at certain times of the year or certain times of the month. And as a customer, you just familiarize yourself with these cycles and when they're happening. And the savvy customers will just stop buying products from that brand if they're not on sale. I know that's what I do with a handful of brands. I'm sure
Yeah.
I'm not alone. So ultimately, all they're doing is damaging their margin. And I'm sure this is something that you have many a conversation with prospects, right?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I think we've seen the market open up to the strategy of this. So there's strategic attention on this. If you look at earnings calls from publicly traded companies in the last like 2 years, you do see that the CEO and the CFO are talking about, hey, how's our pricing power? Do we have to promote more than we'd like? Have we been able to get rid of discounts and improve our margins? It's like a kind of a fixture on earnings calls the last 2 years when consumers have been, yeah, pretty shaky. So I think there's more focus on it, but at the same time, brands are still kind of in this. We talk about, it's like a very heavy metal description for it, but the discount death spiral that a lot of brands get themselves into, which is what you're describing, where at some point we started discounting to grow demand, to grow top line. But our customers get hooked on it, and our team gets hooked on it too, that marketers reach for discounts whenever we're trying to change something or drive sales, or it's a slow month, we have some excess inventory, we're trying to get people to sign up for our loyalty program. It's kind of smash the discount button in response to whatever the business's need is. So it's like this very addictive cycle where, okay, this drives top line, so we're going to keep hitting this button. And brands are often kind of missing the ability to construct more intelligent incentives and to not just give 20 or 30% back. In the scale of this is pretty staggering. I talked about spending a lot of time optimizing things for really minimal return earlier in my career. On average, brands are discounting 18% of their revenue away. So if you have 100 million in listed prices, 18% of that is discounted away. So if you think about that 18% is an investment of that price reduction, what's your return on that investment? And improving that investment is just massive. So it's just a huge piece of the pie, right? So if we can improve that 18%, go from 18 to 17, right? That's 1% of your overall revenue going to bottom line. If your profit is like 8% or whatever, your net income, that's that 1% becomes really, really significant for the business. And then on the level of the individual promotion too, if you are kind of hooked in this cycle of discounting, increasing demand enough to maintain the profit contribution is really, really difficult, right? So I'm going to do one more hypothetical. If you imagine you're selling an item for $100 and it's 40% margin, so you're getting $40 of profit from selling one of those items. If you do 20% discount, so you decrease price by $20, you might think that, okay, if we sell 20% more stuff, we've offset the cost of the discount. But when you factor in margin, that's obviously not the case. So that 40% margin example, if you do a 20% discount, you actually need to double your sales volume to maintain the profit contribution if you hadn't run the discount in the first place. So it's a long-winded saying of basically most discounts are not increasing demand enough for the brand to be on a stronger profit footing compared to if they hadn't run the discount in the first place. So brands just lose tons of margin here. BCG has estimated that 30% of price promotions have a negative ROI. we'd guess that's a good deal higher, but there's just tons of waste. And again, it's 18% of your revenue, right? So if there's any waste against 18% of your revenue, that's pretty chunky.
I mean, yeah, 18% is a big figure, and like you said, it's not just 18%; it's how that impacts the margin later down the line as well. And we know that retail in particular, it is an industry which very much benefits from a strong loyalty and promotions setup, and there's also an industry where the margins are often getting hammered. So actually, that 1 or 2% can make a very big difference to every business. Um,
Yep.
what have you seen in the industry? You mentioned like just bringing it down to 17% can make a big difference. Is that something that's like possible? I mean, is it possible to bring that average down to 16, 15, 14? Because then you're talking a real substantial difference, which ultimately kind of pays for itself in a very short period of time.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I think we pretty repeatedly see that we can bring that number down for the exact same result, or we can keep the spend the same and just get more for it. I mean, if you go on on any e-commerce site and just look around at what prices are being reduced, what annoying, pop-up notifications are they offering you a 10% discount for signing up for a mailing list. If you think about all those things as investments, like surely there's some fat to trim, right? Like there are some waste calories somewhere here that we can knock out. A lot of it comes down to the brands have to use a very transactional mechanism, like a 20% discount, when maybe a bundle or a next time offer or early access for our next season drop or VIP support, like any other way to exchange value to drive the behavior you want might be, might drive the exact same result and just be much more efficient. Haven't talked much about loyalty yet, but that's a really big reason loyalty programs are so freaking powerful. It's just that the cost of a loyalty reward, usually you're getting, 2 to 5%, if it's pretty generous at 5% of your purchase value back, for like store value for a future redemption, right? So imagine spend $100, you're getting like $2 in future value back in the form of points or something. 2% compared to a 20 or 30% discount is obviously really substantial. So if we can use the loyalty program as the main way that we're exchanging value with customers and not just having to rely on simple discounts, that's also really powerful. Obviously, that's like a very kind of cold-hearted view of loyalty. There's lots more that loyalty can do, but just lowering your overall financial liability from discounts and committing to a lower value stored mechanism with customers is really compelling for a CFO. I know some like loyalty friends will rip in me for taking such a transactional view of loyalty. So I'll talk about the emotional stuff in a bit, but still a lot of value to be saved there.
Yeah, and I guess there is that emotional piece, and that's probably something that I haven't thought about too much. So that's going to be interesting. But on a sheer transactional basis, if you incentivize somebody to want to return to your store, in what's, let's be honest, an age where we can literally pick up our smartphone and buy the majority of products from multiple sources, then if you can incentivize them well enough to firstly buy from your store, but then return to your store, then they're going to. In fact, I had a conversation with somebody the other day, and we were talking about EPOS systems and how that could affect brand loyalty. And my argument was, well, if the brand if the brand or the business has built a relationship with its customers to the point where they want to be loyal to that brand for the reason being perhaps they get a good loyalty scheme, or perhaps they have such a good experience in store that they don't want to go to Amazon, they want to go to that store, then they would probably come back to that store to buy that product when the tills are open, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas there's a lot of businesses now, I don't think they have that loyalty with their customers. So if you can't buy a product there and then, or the website's not working or whatever, you will just pick up your phone, probably go on Amazon or similar, and order it to your house the next day. So for me,
Yeah.
loyalty is the area where there is so much that can be done, because for a long,
Yeah.
long time we have been signing in, we've been maybe getting some customer points, but sometimes you don't know what those customer points even mean, or you accrue so many of them, and then it's like, oh, you've got £1.50 off your next order. Great, Joe, I probably spent £1,000 with you, and they give me £1.50. It doesn't mean anything. So it's an interesting and a really interesting area for me.
Yeah, it is. I think and yeah, I mean, you're also touching on it that most loyalty programs are just really boring. We did some research last year, and 90% of um of D2C brands. So I think that particular list was looking at the NRS top 100 in the US, but pretty consistent that a vast majority of brands have some kind of loyalty program. And then if you look at the functionality, it's 2/3 offer tiers, 75% offer points. So basically, most programs are offering a combination of points and tiers, and it's 1 or 2% of your purchase value back in the form of points or tiers. Which just isn't really cut through. There's some good research from EY the other week too, which was how often are members a part of two loyalty programs from direct competitors too, and most customers are even members of competing loyalty programs. Airlines, like I'm a member of 4 or 5 different airline loyalty programs. So it's also really difficult to actually just to make your loyalty program cut through. And you're certainly not going to do that in 2024 with a simple point and tier mechanism. There has to be something else more compelling, and the experience has to be pretty meaningful for the customer to get them to change behavior in any way. And like you're saying, if your products suck, the price is wrong, and your customers aren't happy, a loyalty program isn't gonna solve any of that, right? So it's not a magic cure all for other problems in the business.
Yeah, well, that's it. And I'm the same. Like, I'm in my wallet, I've got my club card, I've got my Nectar card, got every single card possible for the supermarket chains. I'm not loyal to one particular one. I'll just go where it's convenient at that time. So I feel like that's another industry where that can do more. Although I would probably argue as a consumer, that's one of the industries that has done the most over the last 5 years with loyalty. Obviously now offering discounts on certain products and all kind of stuff. When out of interest, when do you feel as though the mood started to change around loyalty and promotions? Because we've touched upon the fact that it's been there for a long time, albeit maybe kind of a blanket approach from a lot of companies. When did it start to change where companies start to say, okay, Joe, we can do a bit more here?
Yeah, I think that the main when the loyalty train started really to run away, is when loyalty vendors started to open up and be more feasible around 10 years ago. If you look at like the 90s or whatever, it was just really, really, really expensive to create a loyalty program, and something that only the biggest brands could do. Now you've got 100 different simple loyalty apps on Shopify Marketplace, and lots of ways to kind of cobble together a simple loyalty program. So I think like the simple advantage you had by having a loyalty program evaporated probably 10 years ago. Once you kind of had that commodification or sea of sameness, then it became more important to either kill this thing because it's not doing anything for us, or to actually use it as a strategic differentiator. COVID, the turbulence the last couple of years has definitely changed all this as well. You saw a lot of brands that were able to use their loyalty programs to help navigate through the pandemic a bit, like airlines kind of selling points for future redemption, just as a way to get some revenue in the door when flights were all grounded. But I don't know. I mean, I think the last 3 years, 2 or 3 years of just when the consumer has been soft, right? The consumer's been scared, or there's been big swings in the market. That's when brands have really had to think a lot harder about how are we actually going to, coax our customers out of hiding and give them some value for shopping with us, and instead of a cheaper competitor, instead of avoiding the purchase altogether. So it's kind of like when the market's been dampened, the little bit you can do to move a couple purchase decisions on the margin has just been, a really, really, really important part of what brands are doing. And then like this overarching thing of promotions and loyalty coming together, that's quite new. I think loyalty programs have always given offers to members, but it's usually been pretty poorly done and managed. Like, you're printing your vouchers for members and your commerce platform, your POS, and then distributing them via your CRM. But the loyalty platform isn't actually the source of truth in any of that. It's just like, it's all kind of, again, this like very siloed approach. So, that's kind of our mission in the market, is like bring all of these different domains of customer incentives together, which has been really well timed in the market when brands are thinking about, okay, we need to stop discounting. We aren't acquiring as many customers as we were, so we need to retain the customers that we do have, and that we just need to make sure that like this overall investment of loyalty points and discounts, that's a really rational, high ROI investment.
And I mean, it's certainly reflective of the conversation that we're having at the market at the minute. And yeah, I would say more than 50% of those conversations, when they're talking about investment and maybe where there's going to be work either now or coming soon, is looking at that loyalty and promotion space. And so, what I would say in 8 out of 10 of those conversations, we're hearing Talon.One as well. So it's really
Yeah,
clear that
great.
you guys are a market leader in that space, and I believe that's kind of reflective of some of the chats that you're having as well, and some of the wins that you've picked up recently. So I think long may it continue. It's certainly an area where if you're looking to make a small-ish change, that you can really track ROI and grow the business over the next 12, 24, 36 months. And it's somewhere you want to be looking at if you're not already.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's also, if you look at like the overall trend in like kind of big projects, especially like I think that Talon.One is a great example of a targeted tech change on your current stack too. We obviously love working with like really modern commerce platforms like commerce tools, but a lot of our customers are on kind of a legacy custom SAP base or something like that. And if you like the Forrester commerce platform landscape this year, when they talked about like the targeted tech changes are of more focus, I think that's definitely been a big tailwind for us, and something that we see is like, because it's 18%, like can we do a little bit better than what we're running in our very, very custom in-house commerce platform built on top of a monolith. Yeah, there's a lot of value to be had there without committing to a really, really significant transformation just to unlock some promotions value.
Yes, it's good. So how many brands roughly do you believe, as a percentage, have a modern loyalty and promotions offering?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think if you look at like the overall commerce market, it's around what, I don't know, 15 billion or something like that. Most of those are in, in-house Oracle, SAP, Salesforce, kind of like the monoliths, which again, like do promotions and for the most part do promotions really well. It's just focused on very transactional discounts on the cart and on the item level, right? So just like a very, very narrow window on what incentives are. Um, and then the rest is either, kind of newer generation commerce platforms, commerce tools and scale, and, Shopify Plus increasingly. So I don't know. I think we see ourselves mostly as how much of that market can we address?
Mm,
And generally in terms of like who's doing this really well, I don't know. I mean, it's single digit percentage points or less of like brands that are really thinking creatively about incentives. I don't know, very early days,
yeah.
and yeah, a very, very low percentage of brands that are especially doing anything with personalized offers and personalized incentives. The vast majority is still just, hey, let's just do a couple bundles and clearance pricing and the stuff that we bought too much of last quarter or something.
So ultimately, there's still a huge opportunity ahead then for the majority of brands, right? So
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
nice, nice. Something before we move on, something I felt would be interesting to talk about is gamification, something that we've spoken about
Yeah,
beforehand, and also I had Simon from Absolute Labs on the show
great.
recently, and he spoke a lot about gamification as well.
Yep.
Believe they're a big Talon.One partner. What's your
Yep.
thoughts on gamification, Sam?
Yeah, I think I mean the main reason that I'm drawn to gamification is what it does for redemption. So if you look at the redemption rate of an offer that's just like, a personalized CRM offer sent via email versus the chance to win a prize, sent in the same way to the same audience. What happens is that when there's some feeling that the customer has won or has earned the reward, redemption rates go crazy. So you're pretty lucky if you get like 1 or 2% redemption rate on a personalized offer. With gamification, we will regularly see that, in the double digits. Um, it's just like there's some psychological bias here where if you have earned something, if you've done 3 actions to earn a reward, you perceive so much more ownership of that reward that redemption really goes crazy. And in loyalty, especially, you want redemption. Like if you're giving somebody value, you want to see them use it because it means that they're seeing value in it and they think it's meaningful, right? I think there's often, yeah, like you want people to use the stuff that you're offering them, and you want to offer less and you want people to use what you do offer more. And gamification is just amazing for that. So we have a bunch of gamification features to kind of store lots of around like challenges and loyalty of do these specific things. Like Sephora uses Talon.One for some really cool kind of challenge use cases where if you come in store and do like a shade matching technology thing and fill out a beauty routine preference quiz and do a buy online pickup in store, you're getting punches against each of these individual actions and then a specific reward for all of those. So that's gamification of kind of just making the like being transparent with what we want you to do and then giving you a reward for it. Which is both, again, the redemption thing goes crazy. And second, it's a really cool opportunity to be super transparent with the customer. Like, here's what we want you to do. Like, if you do it, we'll reward you for it. And to string together a couple activities is really cool. So yeah, it's just massive. I think the obviously if you look at like gamification, the dark arts of gamification and what like Temu especially does in terms of like gamifying the experience and making it, it feels more like you're playing a casino app than than buying stuff on Temu. So you can
Team
definitely
was
go too
quite
far.
extreme. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it is. But overall, just like kind of showing like what do we want you to do, and let's make it a little bit more fun to do those things. But yeah, in promotions and loyalty, it's mostly around redemption and the sense of earning or owning the rewards that you've gotten through those gamified experiences.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, and I'm almost trying to visualize some of the gamification experiences that I've been involved in, probably without even knowing about it either, which is,
Yeah.
I guess, another quite cool thing that you can do as a brand. When you take that kind of gamification approach to market and you engage with prospects, how is it perceived in a positive way as well? Do they really get behind it as well, or do you find there's a bit of pushback?
No, no, definitely no pushback. Some brands think it's sort of beneath them, which I get. Like, I think that there are definitely brands where having like a playable game doesn't really fit the brand voice. I think it's just early in terms of understanding of what gamification is and what it can do is we're still early days on that. I think that there's obviously a huge difference between gamification and like playable games of like actually
Mm,
game mechanisms in your digital products. Gamification is more of just this broader thinking of like showing progress towards a desirable reward, which everybody does. I mean, I think if I love like for profile completion stuff where they have like a progress tracker or something, like that's gamification of just showing like how you're progressing towards completing the thing that they're asking you to do. Lots of really funny stuff too. Like if you pay attention to that, you'll often notice that they start you at 20% or something, like even if you haven't done anything.
okay.
Because there's all this kind of psychological bias that we're more likely to finish something once we've started it. So a lot of digital experiences will make you feel like you're already on your way towards something. It's a big reason why like sign up points are a thing in loyalty too. Of like, well, I've already got 2,000 of the 5,000 points I need to get to silver. That makes me think I'm on my way to silver and increases the likelihood I take actions to keep going. But yeah, I mean, I think yeah, early days, but overall, like if you were asking your customers to do something, then you need to show them what it is and how they're tracking towards it, right? So like showing that in real time, showing progress, explaining what it means when you complete the thing that we're asking you to do. All of that is just kind of just really crucial and just being transparent about where are you working toward, what are you working towards, and what comes next.
Joe, I've not even thought about it before, but American Express does that really well. You sign up and it's like spend a very minimal amount in the first 3 months, and you get like 25,000 points or whatever it might be. And I guess that's a fair chunk is to getting through to then get your plane tickets or whatever your incentive on your Amex is. So yeah, I'd never even thought about it until you just detailed it then. So yeah, a lot of brands are doing it without us even realizing as consumers. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. There's
For
there's,
sure.
cle- there's clearly lots that can be done. There's lots that's happening right now. And it's clear that there is a huge benefit to doing a lot of this. I think it's probably good that we touch upon um the impact of having a loyalty and promotion scheme, but not doing it correctly. I mean, we've touched upon this right at the start of that conversation, but I guess there are some big drawbacks if you are a company that is doing loyalty and promotions and not doing them properly. So I guess in your opinion, what are some of the biggest challenges brands might face if they don't do it correctly?
Yeah. Yeah. I think you can break apart the downsides to top line that you're basically not actually changing behavior and driving incremental purchase. Bottom
Mm.
line that you're subsidizing subsidizing things that were going to take place anyways and eating into your profit unnecessarily. Then you can think about the customer lifetime value that you're conditioning the customer to only buy with a deal. So you're never going to get them to full price because they're always going to wait for an offer. And related to that is like the brand damage that you can do along the way. There are so many otherwise really good retailers that have turned themselves unnecessarily into off-price discounters, right? Where people will be buying that stuff at full price. It might sell a little bit less, but they don't need to have 20% on the website all the damn time. So, top line, bottom line, lifetime value, brand image, like the threats of messing this up are really significant. And then specifically on the loyalty side, if you're again not changing behavior and you're giving 2% value back to your top customers, your most loyal customers, and not actually like changing their behavior or making them more loyal, that's also just eating into like really sacred margin for the business of just giving value back and getting nothing in return with your customers that should be like the healthiest, most profitable contribution to the business. Yeah, all this is it's all pretty big kind of
Mm.
core stuff, right? Like I think discounting is a dirty word. It's very difficult for us to get a CMO on the phone, even though 18% of your revenue is being spent on this marketing expense. We think about it as like a marketing expense and try and get brands to think about it that way too. But obviously, it's not like the shiniest nook of the marketing world. So there's still a good amount of strategic neglect, though. Like we were saying earlier, that's gotten better with CEOs and CFOs and analysts talking about that all the time on earnings calls.
You find out that the stakeholder with the most buy-in to someone like yourself is going to be the CFO as to the CMO.
Yeah, good question. I think CFOs are very obviously like very removed from us operationally, but very happy when we are contributing to restoring the brand's pricing power. So I think we do touch into like core financial stuff. I think the we're still bought by tech audiences primarily because they see that okay, if we buy this platform, like we won't have to maintain all this custom code and spend all this roadmap time of just like launching new types of bundles or something. So I think like our buying journey tends to start with tech and then we're used by business users or by marketers. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think CFO, it's like we are contributing to them, but we're not talking to them. We're talking to product leadership first and then marketing leadership as we move forward. And then ongoing, like we have our business reviews and kind of ongoing relationship with like a VP of marketing is usually like who we're rolling up to on the commercial side.
Gotcha, gotcha. Joe, I've not been able to get this image out of my head. And at the start of the call, you said it's almost like they hit a button and it's like hit the discount. And ever since you said that, I've just had this image of
Yep.
everyone in the meeting room with a big red button, like it's
Yeah.
discount
Yeah.
time.
Yep, exactly.
It's crazy.
There's we use this framework with our clients too. That's like, okay, when you design like what is a promotion? There's a e-commerce consultant, Chloe Thomas, who has this like golden rule of promotions that a promotion exists to get a customer to do what you want them to do as cheaply as possible, which is like I see that in my eyelids when I go to sleep at night. It's behavior change done
Yeah.
efficiently. And to do that, like you need a customer objective. Like what does the customer get out of it? What does the brand want out of it? And then what's the mechanism to link those things together? So if the brand is trying to grow basket size, then the promotional mechanism could be simple like bundles of complete the look or something like that. And the customer objective is, okay, I get a deal on a complete look and I get a curated recommendation of what I should be buying together, right? That's like a simple, well-designed incentive. What always happens is like we want to grow basket size. What's the mechanism we do? 20% discount. What's the customer get out of it? Deal. And it's like that's kind of the whole cascade is like, what does the customer get? They get a deal. What's the mechanism? It's a discount, which is that's like a broken, wasteful, brand destroying way to think about the topic that we help our customers stop doing.
I can see it's painful.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But there's so much, there's so much more. You never think about like gift with purchase. Like people love gift with purchase incentives. And like if you can get a manufacturer to fund, like, beauty is obviously amazing at this. But other industries too, of like Lego, for example, is amazing at gift with purchase. Like they launched this beautiful 450 pound Barad-dûr Lord of the Rings set earlier this year. And there's a members only gift with purchase of one of the Nazgul Ringwraith guys on the Fell Beast, their dragon things they ride around. And that was a members only additional piece that you get for buying this set, right? So what does that do? That gets people to sign up for your program to get this exclusive gift.
Mm.
It moves more of the item because it makes the item even more attractive. And it doesn't discount anything, right? There's no like transactional, you're not eating into the value of this 450 pound Lego set. It's just making it even better so that you're more likely to buy it and that more likely to sign up for the loyalty program. So like gifting is brilliant, bundles are brilliant, all these other mechanisms other than just, yeah, don't smash the discount button is like the short advice.
So Lego is a brand that just it never fails to amaze me. It's even as a 35-year-old man, I still look at the brand and I think, Joe, what that is actually something that's really, really cool.
Oh,
Even
it's so
in the
fun.
last couple of weeks, they had their new Nike collab, and I was like,
Hmm.
I wanted to go and buy a
Yeah.
Nike Lego trainer. Like, why?
Oh, they're
Why,
so fun.
why don't I want to do it? But they just tap into so many different audiences and they do it so well. And as you
Yep.
said, they rarely chuck big discounts on any of their products. So
Yeah.
they just absolutely nailed it.
Yeah, they don't need to because the products are awesome, right? Like and it's so soothing to sit and build something when we're all spending our whole lives on our laptops. So yeah, very like amazing how resilient and timely that has been for their adult fans as well.
Mm.
Obviously, like brilliant marketing that they do on like Star Wars Day when they change the logo to be in like a Star Wars font and stuff too. Like they just such a
Such
fun
small
brand.
things, right? Yeah, such small things, and they just tap into so
Yeah.
many different audiences. Like I said, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Nike. I mean, they probably have a
Yeah.
collab to suit every single type of individual in the world.
Exactly.
And it's just
Exactly.
also cool. Even as a non-Lord of the Rings fan, I think their products with Lego are awesome. So yeah,
Yep.
it's really clever. But look, we spoke a lot about what can be done, and it certainly sounds like there is a huge amount that can be done for brands, which probably isn't too hard to do. It's just a case of getting it done. We spoke about some of the impacts about not doing it right, and I think it's fair to say that they're quite extreme, right? It's going to eat
Mhm.
into your bottom line, top line, etc. So that's something you want to be doing correctly. I think it's probably good to just touch upon if you are a brand and you're looking at investing in launching promotions, whether it be Talon.One or something else. How can you prepare for a successful implementation? Now we don't have to go into too much detail here, but what should they be doing to get ready for this?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that one area we really recommend starting with is this idea of a data wish list of, okay, if you're currently running promotions on an item or a cart level on the commerce platform and they're mostly available to everybody, what other data would you want to work with to construct those offers and decide who's getting what and why? So it could just be additional item data, like a collection the items part of. It certainly should be customer data of segmentation and who the customer is and what they want long term. And then finally, you should also be able to action promotions based on in-session behavior. So if somebody is hemming and hawing about a purchase, or if you have like some intent data from a session AI or made with intent or something like that, you should be able to action that with promotions too. So think about like what are all the things that we would want to use to consider when and why to run a promotion. So that's a really big first one. And then the second is like let's open the aperture of what sorts of rewards you want to offer. So
Wicked.
most brands today will be doing percent off, currency off, maybe like bundle pricing and a gift with purchase. So if you start with like, okay, those are like our four current state things. What are the other mechanisms that we can give out instead? So if it's early access or free gift wrapping or better gift purchase options, like what are the other rewards? Think about that value exchange of like, you know, for whenever possible, we should not be hitting the discount button. So discount should usually be a last resort. What are the 5 or 10 things we can try before resorting to a discount so that we're moving stock and rewarding customers without just a simple transactional buy this, get that exchange. So data wish list and reward wish list are two really good places to start. Um, yeah, implementation wise, then it's like, okay, once you have that in mind, that becomes a lot easier to understand what are the integration points you'll need to get that data off of that wish list, and what other like effect types will you have to prepare to parse from your promotion service, your loyalty service, Talon.One, whatever that is, to actually like, yeah, deliver those experiences.
Oh, so when you engage your customers, how many of them come to you with those wish lists already prepared? How many have actually sat down and thought through, okay, this is what we can do instead of smashing the discount button?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think this is like usually this is where we see our role as a tech vendor to help our customers mature their understanding of the domain. Realistically, most of our conversations start because there's just something really obvious that they can't do in a commerce platform, or something keeps breaking, or they're at the scale where spending, a couple hours on every campaign building it in a spreadsheet upload workflow is painful. It's lots of fraud and risk, of course, in offers too. So, like the overall, like across the industry, it's about 100 billion is lost to soft fraud. So just like stacking offers together in an unintended way. So usually like the conversation starts with something tactical, and then longer term, it's like, okay, here's like the mature ideal way to think about this domain of incentives, and let's make sure that we build as much of that in as possible early, just so that you're set up to iterate and experiment and do cool things beyond just solving the acute pains that started the conversation.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's certainly something that's fairly easy to get started with. Then it's just all about sitting down in the boardroom with the stakeholders that are relevant and looking at, okay, cool, this is where we start. This is the routes we can go down, and then I mean, ultimately take it from there. Engage someone like yourself, verify that list, see where it goes, and
Yep.
I guess all being well, kick off the implementation.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
But the less mature you are to start, obviously the more low hanging fruit you'll have. Like if you are just doing, really simple category wide offers, obviously shifting to item bundles will create a ton of value. Um, uh, so yeah, I mean, I think like yeah, there's obviously a lot more juice to be squeezed if you're just starting to think about this topic more strategically. It's also a topic that's really, really comfortable to build business cases on, of like, okay, if we are able to decrease our overall discount spend by 1% by introducing these 12 additional reward mechanisms, you know, uh, just do some scenario math of what might that look like, what might that bring to the business. I spend a lot of time like building those kinds of business cases, and regularly find it to be, one of like, maybe it sometimes it feels like it's the last great frontier of optimization left in marketing. So lots of value to be created there.
yeah, definitely. So where do you see the future going then? I mean, it's clear we can do a lot more now than we could 10 years ago. What will we be able to do in the next 10 years?
Yeah, I think we're starting to see the best brands abstract out uh, from like commerce platform promotions and in-store price reductions to this broader category of incentives, right? Where overall, like, what's the behavior we're trying to drive, and what's the reward that we use to drive that, and taking a more unified view of like of that incentives category. It's one of those classic things in retail and in tech, that we think about this in specific silos because that's the tech evolution of that domain. So that, our commerce platform does our e-commerce promotions, our CRM is doing our personalized offers, our latest platform is doing points and tiers. That's just a total reflection of like the legacy organizational and technological reality. So I think long term, like we do see that like this thinking of incentives is where the best brands are today, and more brands will get in the future, of holistically thinking about, this is a really big investment we're making, and we think really carefully to make sure that this investment has a positive ROI. And a big part of that is loyalty and promotions coming closer together, because loyalty programs, a big part of that is the value exchange and giving members something good as a result of their loyal behavior. That's the number one kind of macro trend we're seeing in the space.
Okay. I've just been thinking actually that as more companies adopt this approach of removing the blanket ban discount and aim to increase their loyalty, as a consumer, we're probably going to be impacted because we're going to have to pay full price for products, right?
Unfortunately, that's, yeah, you could probably say that's like our secret mission, is to get everybody to pay full price for good products. So yeah, I mean, I think I don't know. I mean, I think like whenever you have a growth moment with a brand, like whenever you try a new category or increase your spend, like you should be rewarded for that, and will continue to be rewarded for it. I think what will go away is the ability for us to really simply do things like buy 5 different sizes of an item, return 4, buy it at a discount, collect loyalty points on this crappy negative margin purchase. Like I just think that that brands are going to keep doing more and more work to basically exit these really ruthlessly smart customers. I mean, my wife is brilliant at this too. Like she's never market to my wife is my other big piece of advice. Like she will outsmart you on every promotion that you run and all the things that you offer her. And I think brands just need to kind of rationalize and think about how do we market to Sam's wife, because she'll beat your bottom line into the dust.
Maybe you could turn that into a business idea somehow.
Yeah.
Get her out consulting with
Yeah,
brands, and
exactly.
they need to run something past her. She has a certain period of time to get out and try and beat that promotion, right?
Right,
See how
right.
it goes. I
Yeah.
mean, probably got
Hire
legs
her.
somewhere.
Exactly. Hire her as your promotions QA person, and see how much she can
Yeah,
squeeze out of you.
that's it. So what do you think of Prime Day then? It's obviously one of the biggest sales events globally.
Yeah, I think, I mean, so the general category of member days is awesome for a couple of reasons. If you look at the timing of Prime Day and Walmart Plus week as well, like they're usually placed at a strategic time in the calendar. Like it's oftentimes like right before back to school shopping starts to kind of start to warm up Q4 purchase, or just like a trough in the summer when people wouldn't otherwise be buying. I love member days because it's a way to offer like a lightning strike moment of value to your customers without the long-term promise of points or tiers or something. It's just a big splash day of like you're going to get some great value back, and you're not going to get it for another year. So like, just come to us. And it also just grows awareness of brands really before these key commercial periods. They do lots of, like, every year they're using new promotional mechanisms too. The last 2 years, they've done a lot with invite only offers where you have to express interest in an offer, and then you'll get a marketing message saying, "Hey, you've been selected to redeem this offer," which is pretty awesome too. And going back to that topic of like feeling like I've
Gamification, right?
earned something, right? That
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
earned the right to get that deal, so I'm much more likely to redeem it than if it had just been stuck on the product detail page. It's a huge fan of member days. So I think they're just really clever in terms of expanding the calendar and surfacing brand visibility before really key moments.
Nice. Yeah, I mean it certainly does well, right? I mean the figures that are released after Prime Day every year, they blow my mind.
Staggering.
Billions is spent.
Yep.
And it doesn't seem as though sales are too heavily impacted in the run up to those days either. So yeah, like you said, I mean it hits the nail on the head for a lot of reasons. Cool. Well, look, before we wrap this up, let's just have a little bit of fun. So, as an expert in this space, I'm just interested to know, um, is there something that you believe we could see happen in the next 5 years, um, but maybe seems a little bit far-fetched at the minute?
Yeah, I don't know if it's far-fetched. I mean, I think I don't know. I mean, I am a big believer that like the current way that we buy things will continue to evaporate. Like the search, PLP, PDP, cart, checkout flow. Like I do think that those are already kind of evaporating. So I don't know. I mean, I think there'll just be like more non-traditional ways to buy stuff, obviously like social commerce and stuff, and whatever, like being able to buy things from within Roblox. Like I think that's kind of the main thing is like we buy stuff online because of the way that computers and smartphones developed, and not because it's like a comfortable, natural way to consider and purchase things. So I see all that continuing to blow up and change. I mean, I was doing some research the other day on pricing in the luxury sector because it just works a bit different, and I ended up like looking at a Louis Vuitton like 3,000 euro bag, and I was truly one click away from accidentally buying it at 3 grand, just because like the checkout process was so slick. It was right from
Mhm.
it did start with a search as more traditional, but But I know, I think that like, yeah, the current kind of multi-step approach to buying is going to continue to blow up. I don't think that that'll be on Apple Vision goggles and stuff, but there will be more and more ways for brands to be moving stuff to consumers.
Maybe vision goggles in the future, or not?
I don't know. I don't know. I've tried them once and haven't been convinced yet, but who am I to say? I
Yeah,
don't know.
I'm yet to try them. I've had mixed things, but equally, it's one of those pieces of technology that could just blow up over a period of time. Look at the smartphone, right? I mean, you go back 20 years, we had a phone that big, with a screen that small, and buttons that big, and now we've got it all on a screen that does absolutely anything. You can start a business on your phone these days. So who knows,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I think that buying journeys are definitely in the process of, decomposing into something really interesting.
Nice. Well, time will tell, eh? We'll see. We can revisit this in a few years and see exactly how it looks. But look, thank you. Really enjoyed that conversation, Sam. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure, James. Thanks a lot for having me.
No worries at all. I really hope you all enjoyed the episode. For me, definitely interesting, and it's amazing to see exactly what can be done with loyalty and promotion schemes, which don't seem too challenging right now, and can have a really substantial impact on the bottom line. So thanks again for listening, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Goodbye.